It was just an old house.
That's
And
incredible.
it was, I don't know, I suspect that I think it was a djinn. I think we were dealing with some kind of djinn because it felt like it was toying with us.
Good evening, hikers. Broadcasting from the rocky coast of Maine, where the fog rolls in like a slow-moving thought you're not sure you should be having. This is the Fogcast. I'm Reverend Redbeard, and I'm glad you found your way back to the fire tonight. If you've lived in this state long enough, you know the feeling. That uncomfortable chill in an old building, or a creak in a hallway, a shadow you swear wasn't there a second ago. Maine is full of places like that. Libraries gifted as Valentine's presents, mills that once thrummed with life, houses older than the state itself, still holding on to whatever walked their floors long before we did. And every so often, someone steps into one of those places and realizes they're not alone. My guests tonight know that feeling better than most. Boo Fighters Paranormal, an investigative team born from strange nights in a Sioux Falls rental and sharpened here in the Pine Tree State, has spent the last few years chasing the unexplained. From guttural growls caught on ring cameras to apparitions in empty hallways. From the restless stacks of the Gardiner Library to the echoing tunnels of Battery Steel. They've seen things that don't fit neatly into the world we pretend is normal. We talked about their origins, their methods, the science and the skepticism behind their work, and the moments that still keep them up at night. We also wandered into some stranger theories, collective consciousness, residual energy, and why ghosts always seem to show up dressed for the Victorian era instead of the 1990s. It was a hell of a conversation. But before we get to the show, a friendly, don't follow the little girl standing at the end of the hallway unless you're ready to meet whatever is waiting behind her. Reminder to light your lantern and join us on Patreon for early access to ad-free episodes, digital extras, and exclusive content. Visit acadiaafterdark.com for more horror from the woods of Maine. Now, without further ado, let's get into the episode. Welcome back, folks. Tonight I am joined by Boo Fighters Paranormal. This is DJ and Ariel. How you two doing tonight?
Good, and you?
Doing great. I went to a little ways up north to Derry today and visited the International Cryptozoology Museum for a fun day out with the family and stuff. Have you been to the one when it was down in Portland, Southern Maine?
Yeah, we've been to that one. We haven't been to the new one since it opened up in Bangor.
Yeah, yeah. They have a lot of the same stuff, just a lot more space for all of it. It's like 3 times as big as the one in Portland. It's
Yeah.
actually kind of crazy to walk around, especially if you've been in the Portland location. Because just seeing how much it's spread out now, and they had so much stuff. I'm like,
There was.
Did they get
it's
more?
that, yeah, they actually did, and it's showcased a lot better as well. It's really really a nice setup they've got now. Yeah, we were there for a couple hours this afternoon, just walking around and checking stuff out. I mean, they have like the big Bigfoot statue that they've always had. That's still like one of their biggest centerpieces. They have the Wessie skin up on the first wall when you come in and everything like that. So they have a lot of the classic items, but they've just got a lot more space to really showcase everything. So they've got like the Bray Road Beast is like its own little display on one side, and like then on the other side of that is the creature from the Black Lagoon. it's a cool setup. It's really fun. If you get a chance and you're ever in the Bangor area, definitely check it out again. It's a fun time.
Was it last weekend, the opening weekend for that location?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
just recently opened at the beginning of June, so they're busy. I mean, there was just a steady stream of people the whole time I was there. So I imagine it's probably going to be a very good location for them. It's central. It's very easy to access. They could use better parking situations, kind of their one problem right now, but yeah, that's I'm sure its own battle, especially where they're located now. They're like right on Broadway, so it's just it's in the middle of town. It's right there, so it's kind of unavoidable. But yeah, it was a cool experience. Hopefully you guys ever get a chance to, like I said, check it out again. They do have some new stuff worth looking at. That aside, because I'm big into cryptids, I'm into the ghosts and everything. I cover everything on this show. When I discovered your page, you're based more in Southern Maine. So that's a lot of stuff that some of it I've heard of, but I'm largely unfamiliar with a lot of locations down there. So that was refreshing to kind of see, people investigating a new neck of the woods, as I like to say. Before we get into any specifics about like where you're located and the work you're doing, would you mind telling me a little bit about yourselves and like how you got started in paranormal?
Well, I've always had an interest in it. Yeah, I kind of grew up in a household that it was n- not it was normal. It was talked about, when we watched TV shows, as a family, we'd sit down and watch Ghost Hunters, when it was back on the Travel Channel. We'd sit down and watch it together, and it was and I've always been interested in it since then. And even as like a late teenager, early 20s, me and some friends, I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee. So there was a lot of places out there that, we would go out and investigate ourselves and, take a crappy little camera and voice recorder, that had the actual tapes in it.
Nice,
So we'd go and
nice.
do that. And, it kind of went away, as adult life came in and, we got together and had kids, but it's always kind of been on the back burner. But it was really back in, was it 2023 when we lived?
20, late 22.
Late 22, early 23. We lived in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And I was there for a job, and we rented a house for a year. And that house got us both back into it, or me back into it, her interested in it, and us both wanting to kind of look more into what was going on, because there was some spooky stuff happening in that house.
Interesting. So you would kind of like let it just fall by the wayside at this point, and
Yeah.
it sounds like there wasn't even a I know when you're young and you kind of, it's a hobby, you kind of get
Yeah.
older, like you said, time happens and then you forget things. But you, Ariel, weren't at all into the paranormal. Like,
No, so we had very different upbringings. I grew up very, very, very religious. And stuff like that was kind of the devil. You know, we didn't really talk
Oh,
about it very openly at home. I had experiences my whole life. When I was really little, I used to tell my parents that I was seeing angels, and so like I have those stories that they've, relayed to me as I've gotten older, but we talked about it in the religious sense, in that those things are demonic, that they're of the devil. We didn't talk about what happens when your body dies, where does your energy go? We didn't talk about it in that regard. So I was very scared, very I wanted nothing to do with it, for lack of a better word, for a long time.
yeah.
And then in that house in Sioux Falls, our daughter started having experiences, and I went to my mom about it because despite being overly what I consider overly religious, she gives great advice. And so I called my mom and I was like, what do I do? She's scared. I don't know what to do. And she was like, oh, that's no big deal. It's generational. I've had conversations with my dead uncle. And I was just like,
Wow.
what? Yeah. So it was, that was kind of like, to me, I was like, all right, something's really going on here. I have to, at the very least, be a mother to my daughter who's scared, and figure out what's going on with her. So that's kind of where my journey started. I mean, it was all in that one house, but for different
Yeah.
reasons, I think.
That's fascinating. So you had both very different entries into it, and you said it was this one house in Sioux Falls, you said?
Yeah.
So I've heard of various locations in South Dakota that's been pretty active paranormally. I know they used to have like a pretty big conference out there at one point, actually, if I remember correctly.
Probably down in what was Sioux City, probably
Sioux City, Iowa,
Yeah.
maybe.
in Iowa.
Might have
Yeah.
been. Yeah, that might be what I was thinking of. Yeah. So you both lived in this house. You said there was some weird activity. Like, was it known when you started living there, or was it like you got in and all of a sudden you were
Yeah.
like in the Conjuring house, sort of?
No.
Yeah.
We rented this house sight like physically unseen. I mean, we'd seen pictures, but we rented this house when we were still living in San Diego.
But it was empty for a
So
while, though.
yeah,
the guy said.
it had been empty for like 8 months prior.
Yeah, it was empty. Yeah, 8 months prior, and the guy let us rent it over the phone from across the country. And we signed a lease because we were moving from San Diego over there for my job, and we rented it over the phone. We were like, I don't know, it was weird. And I even said something. Remember when I
Yeah.
said something?
I
Like
do.
we were looking for places, and this one kept popping back up, and I'm like, I don't know what it is. Like, this house is calling me. I love the house. It was gorgeous. Two stories, and it was my first house with a basement, so I was excited. And it was just, I'm like,
My house in Oregon had a basement.
that was more of an
A finished
apartment.
basement.
There was an apartment down there, so it wasn't like a basement. But anyway, but yeah, but I was like, man, this one's calling to me. I think we should reach out. So we did, and we got it. But yeah, like nobody told us anything about it, anything that was going on, and it just happened almost within. What
It was like the first night. I mean, I remember we were laying in bed, or not in bed because we didn't even have our furniture.
we didn't have
Wasn't
the
there
furniture
yet.
up. We're on the couch.
Yeah, we were like on an air mattress, and I just remember the banging.
Yeah. Yeah, it all started with banging on the walls. It sounded like somebody was demoing a wall upstairs. And I mean, it was a standalone house. It wasn't attached to anybody else.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's how it started with banging on the walls.
What? Wow. So yeah, it sounds like you got reintroduced to it and kind of flung into the middle of something.
Yeah.
So then that, I'm guessing then you kind of probably wanted to figure out what it was you were experiencing there and then
Right.
try and learn more about it, right? Because that seems to be the trajectory for a lot of people as experiencers, is that reawakens your curiosity sometimes.
It's definitely when we started obtaining equipment.
Yeah, for sure. And then we started doing research on the house, like when it was built and who lived in it, and because it changed hands a lot, and it had a really weird history with the deeds,
It
and
had some weird tax history, but there wasn't anything that I was able to find that was like, what you think of when you think of a haunting. There was nothing like tragic. I couldn't find any definitive deaths on the property. It wasn't anything crazy like that. It was mostly just legality, litigation stuff that had found in the history. But it was less than half a mile from some native burial sites. And I mean, that town in general is just old. It's just an old town. It was our house was built in 1890, 1880, 1880.
No, this one is 1880. That one was 1890.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
It was old. It was just an old house. And
That's incredible.
It was, I don't know, I suspect that I think it was a djinn. I think we were dealing with some kind of djinn because it felt like it was toying with us.
For sure. Yeah, the things that would happen, things would disappear and reappear. Things would get knocked off shelves.
Things would move in front of your face.
Yeah.
We have video of stuff flying off of shelves and doors opening on their own and
growling.
The growling, and my coffee pot would turn itself on at 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon every afternoon. Like, it was crazy. It was insane.
Wow, that sounds amazing. I mean, I'm sure, like, if you're not like excited about it at first, that was probably terrifying for you coming into it.
I was excited, but when the kids started to hear the growling, I mean, you could audibly hear it. And there's a video on YouTube, and I think it's on Facebook too. But there's a video on there of because we put Ring cameras in the house. Because we started, trying to catch the things that we were seeing and hearing.
Sure.
And when we did. So there's a video that's uploaded of, it's in the middle of the day. I was gone to work. The kids were at school. She was gone. And it was just our tiny dog was at the house. And she set the camera off. So I jumped on there and looked at it. And she was barking and barking and barking. But on top of her barking, you could hear this death metal demon growl, just guttural in the house.
And for reference, our dog is like this big, and
tiny.
she rarely barks. And on the video, you can clearly differentiate between her bark and this, like, because they're layered. It's wild.
Yeah. Everybody that we've shown the video to, they're like, hell no.
It sounds like something that, like, just straight out of like one of those movies, like Paranormal Activity there. Like, I remember watching that for the first time, and I lived in places that were like haunted, but it was always relatively like innocent. It was, oh, hey, this thing gets moved around a little bit, but it's not anything harmful or really scary, right?
Yeah.
But then you see hauntings like that, where it's like almost like poltergeist-like activity. And that's like such an insane level of distinction and difference. And I don't think people that like are just into casual ghost hunting or like don't really know, they always envision it as like, oh, it's either, orbs all the time and stuff like that. But then when you see a really intense haunting, that's really a whole other experience. Yeah. That's so cool that you guys, and it's cool that you got to live it through. I'm sure, again, it was terrifying, probably, especially having your kids exposed to it.
Yeah.
It got to the point where we were used to it, to be honest. I mean, that sounds ridiculous in hindsight and telling you all this, but it just became so normal. We lived there for a year.
Yeah.
We had to get on with our day, and it became the thing.
We'd start banging on the walls upstairs. We'd yell at it.
Bang back.
We'd bang back, we'd yell at it, tell it to stop.
Yeah. You're not paying rent here. What are you doing?
There's one video. I'm sitting on the couch doing some work on my computer, and we had this hearth thing that our TV was sitting on, and we had puzzles that were sitting in the hearth, and one of them just slides out onto the floor, and I didn't move. I didn't see anything. I just that was weird.
You can hear him on the camera. That was weird. I was like, you've got to trademark that term.
Yeah, that's
yeah. Put it on a t-shirt.
Yeah, I did. I put it on a t-shirt. It says that was weird.
Yeah,
fantastic.
But yeah, amazing. it just got kind of normal, but our daughter would see things upstairs, and we'll have to post it. I haven't really figured out a way to do it because of how the Ring camera was set up. But if you're familiar with how a Ring camera works, it'll sense motion and it'll record so many seconds, and while it's not recording, it's still on, but it'll capture every few seconds, and and then but in between the motion captures, when I was going through some of the video, in between there, and one of the frames, I saw there was a light, and then but when I stopped on it and I zoomed in, there was a person standing in the hallway, a little girl figure standing in the hallway, and then right around her chest area, that was the light. And she, like, her chest was just this ball of light, but you could see her entire body from her feet to the top of her head. And I've got I'll have to share it with you. I've got the still of it.
I'd love to see that. That sounds awesome.
That was weird.
Yeah, that was probably still to this day, I think, the best apparition that we've caught.
I mean, that's the holy grail, right? As a paranormal investigator, the full body apparition. That's what everybody looks for. That's what everybody wants to see. You got it. You got to see it. You got to photograph it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's incredible.
I wish it caught and triggered the camera for video and not just a still in between. You know what I mean?
Right.
That would have been better. But we can't. I can't make them tap dance. So
sure, yeah, exactly. We wish we could sometimes. I mean, you spend enough hours sitting there and staring at footage and listening to AVP where you hear absolutely nothing, and you're like, oh man, I wish something like that would happen now. That's. I mean, what an amazing way to get back into the paranormal. So then, from there, you've come to Maine. So Maine's quite different. Compared to where both of you are from. What brought you here?
His cousin.
Yeah.
His cousin was like, hey, because originally he was going to be transferred to Boston, and we'd gone out to Boston to do like a soft launch with that company, and the kids and I tagged along for fun, and we spent, I don't know, 2.5, 3 weeks down there, and we met up with his cousin and his family for dinner one night in Portland, and his cousin was like, hey, you guys should come up here instead. And we did. That was what we ended up doing, and it was yeah. And we love it. We love it here. And this has been, I think, out of all the places we've lived, this is the one we agree on.
Nice. Yeah, I see a lot of people, especially spooky people, finding their way here and then feeling a lot more at home than they would thought. It's such a different atmosphere up here. And like, some people are like, oh, I came here and I love Stephen King and it just seemed like it was, natural in that way. Other people, they just kind of land here and they're like, actually, it's really nice. And they just find themselves setting down roots. And I mean, plenty of paranormal people find their way up here. We've got plenty of haunted places all over the state. I've built an entire career off of just studying this stuff. How long has it been since you started Boo Fighters Paranormal?
Last year, I think it was right after the Paranormal Horror Con in Augusta.
Okay. I was wondering because I saw like a bunch of new groups in the last year since that. And I'm like, did all of you meet there?
Pretty kind of. it kind of, it was like, it was a,
we met Adam.
well, but then we started to meet everybody else. And then they were like, you know what, we're going to bring the group back, or we're going to do the, you know, but it all kind of came from that there, us, we weren't doing anything.
Yeah.
But when we went there and we met so many awesome people, and one of our Adam, the historian ghost hunter, he's a travel guide. We met him there, and like we were just kind of drawn to his personality. He's so much fun.
Yeah.
And and then we met Travis and Toby Hartford there. They're doing, and they invited us on this Bigfoot hunt. And we went out and did that, and we met.
That's where we met John. Was at the Bigfoot hunt.
John Gillis
and Roger Babcock.
Yeah,
we met them there.
We met just so many good people. Our friend Chris Julian, he does the
I know Chris
from 207. Just so many good. There you go.
I got his coaster from him the last time I saw him.
Yeah, but there's so many good people, and they just really inspired me to get back into it. And then of course she's like, I'm in. So she's doing it with me. But it's weird how it took off. When we said we're going to get back into it and just start ghost hunting, she's like, you know what? I've got one of my friends, she's a librarian in Gardiner, and she said that the library's haunted. So maybe I can talk to her and see if we can go to the library. And we did, and she ended up joining our group, and her name is Jess, and you'll speak with her. She's a historian.
Yeah.
And she's amazing. And she joined the group, and we started doing investigations there. And people were like, hey, I want to come to one of those. Like, I want to come. And it just blew up, and we were like, okay, how about we host a public paranormal investigation and let people come in, and then how we could sell tickets, and the proceeds will go to the library. And we sold out that first one.
We did 3 nights at the library. All 3 nights were sold out.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
And then
we were their second biggest fundraiser of the year, only second to their plant sale in May.
Wow, that's incredible. I'd say they must have been happy with you then. So I can see how that is a quick springboard to a lot more, because that's quite an achievement your first time out doing that. I mean, wow.
And since then we have done one every month, pretty much in a new location.
Except March, I think we didn't do one.
Okay.
Or April, because it was our anniversary.
Yeah, it was our anniversary. But we've done one pretty much every month since September, and we've sold out every event.
That's so cool. So cool. Awesome. So then you've been covering some ground then. If you've been doing it about a year, well, a little shy of a year. It's pretty close. It's funny, like I was talking to Chris Julian, you know him. I don't know if you've met Nomar Slevik yet. He's the local UFO guy. If you do anything UFO, he's the one that you talk to there. He's wow, he's one of my favorite guests. But that aside, it's funny because probably about like 15 years ago or so, there was a little paranormal conference at Fort Knox in Bucksport. Just a little one. Lauren Coleman was speaking there. Chris Julian was there. I think it was his group at the time that put it on. And they still do the paranormal thing there, and they do the ghost tours and all that stuff at Fort Knox every year. But at that event, I went there and got back into the paranormal. Nomar had been there, and that was the first place he had ever went where he was selling his book, I think. So it got him back into like a lot of his study. Chris Julian got a fire lit under his ass, and he's been just doing all kinds of stuff with ghost hunting since. Because at the time, I think he was mostly just a Bigfoot guy. And then he really got into like 207 paranormal and stuff, and he's done like a lot of that now since. But it was funny how like so many people got like the paranormal bug reawakened in them at that one conference, and it just kind of rippled out. And now I see the Paranormal and Horror Con happen last year. And then after that, it's just like the seed got planted. And I see all these new groups popping up all over the state and all over New England. And it's so cool to me because I'm just like, I love it. It's awesome because I love hearing more people's stories. I love that more people are interested in this stuff. And Maine to me is like one of the best places for paranormal anything, whether you're into ghosts, whether you're into UFOs, whether you believe in cryptozoology studies, stuff like that. It's got something for everybody up here. So it's so cool to see like newer people like coming up here, experiencing it, and then like having that bug reawakened and kind of like it's contagious. It spreads. So that's awesome that you two got back into it as a result of that. So since then, you've been doing it about a year. You've been doing the investigations, the tours. Do you do independent investigations still too, or do you just kind of focus on the tours and selling them?
Oh no, we definitely do independence. We
Yeah.
we kind of set that up in our business model.
Sure.
And that's been really nice for us as a group. We get to do that on our own.
And what's nice about us doing the public ones is, you know, when we do the public ones and, you know, we have merchandise and little things that we, you know, will sell here and there, but, you know, but that helps fund the, you know, the personal investigation. So when
Sure.
people, you know, somebody calls and said, hey, something's going on in my house, you know, we can go out and we can spend the time, and we never take any money from these people at all, ever, you know, and we go out and we can do our thing, and it's comfortable, you know, because we're, you know, being taken care of on another side, and
Right.
we have that advantage, you know.
You're not doing it at a complete loss where you're like
Right.
spending $500 in gas to travel across the state for a day
Yeah.
or two. Yeah, no, that's definitely a good thing. So I guess the next thing I would wonder is like, where's in southern Maine or anywhere, whether it be out of Maine, where's some of your favorite places in the last year or so you guys have gotten to investigate?
So and it's weird because it's the first place that we investigated here, the Gardiner Library, has probably, I think it's been the most active, and it's been the most consistently active.
Oh.
And we've been 3 or 4 times now, and it's every time that there's things that's going on, and that's probably the most fun.
Cool. That's so is it I have to look it up. I haven't read anything on that library. So is there like a specific history, or is it just kind of one of those ones that anomalously just became haunted one day? Because there's a lot of that in Maine in particular. It's just places that nothing happened there in particular. It's just for some reason there's something weird about the place.
So it's a good mixture of both. There is a lot of history with that library in particular. I'm vaguely remembering our history lesson. Thank goodness we have a historian, because I would never remember all the details. But I do remember that it was a Valentine's Day gift for Laura E. Richards from her husband. So that's, you know, it's that's a huge gift. There's a
sentimentality attached to that.
Yeah, there's definitely some emotional attachment there. And then there's some other history with another family that I don't want to butcher, so I'm not going to go into, but there is other specific history to the library. And then of course there are the local legends, you know. When we did those investigations, you know, Jess had talked about the mummy wrappings, and how there were a lot of mummy wrappings that were brought over to Gardiner and used here at the paper mill. And you know, there's the story of Constance Fisher, who drowned 3 of her children, ended up in Amhi, escaped or was let out of Amhi, and then had 3 more children, and then drowned those 3 children, and then she herself ended up drowning in the Kennebec River. So she kind of integrated all of that history into that presentation, the historical presentation for the library, because it's relevant. It's right on the Kennebec River.
Sure.
So yeah, we try to do that with all of our investigations.
Yeah, yeah. That it was something that I was asking audience and just people in general the other day on social media. So, what's your favorite part of paranormal research? I know a lot of people they enjoy the field work. Other people they like being neck deep in a library somewhere doing research and looking out the old records on properties and stuff like that. What do you two really enjoy or excel in?
I like buying equipment. Um,
You're a tech guy, huh?
yeah, I love the equipment stuff. I've got a bunch of gadgets. I've got cases over there full of stuff,
You
and
have your theory too, your
but
musical.
yeah, and I've got a musical theory. So I'm a musician. You
Oh,
could
yeah,
tell,
cool.
like, so that's part of the name up here, the Boo Fighters. You know,
Okay, I was gonna wait until the end to ask it.
yeah,
Because that was the first thing my fiance when I was like, "Oh, I'm interviewing this group, the Boo Fighters," and she was like, "Is it like the band?" And I was like,
yeah,
"I hope."
yeah. You know, so it's really interesting how it kind of wove together. But I'm a musician. I grew up playing music. Um, and and I'm a big fan of the Foo Fighters, obviously, but I'm integrating my music history into paranormal research. So I have a theory that in life there are for Alzheimer's and dementia patients, doctors will use music therapy to bring
Yeah.
back memories, and to try to get the patients active and to try to
Bring them back oftentimes.
bring them back. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And I am wondering if and I'll bring music to these investigations, and we'll play music, whether it be of a period of time of maybe when the highlights of that specific building were in, you know what I mean? And to try to get activity to see if it amps it up. And so we'll bring music, and we've taken record players. I've taken guitars with me. But
Nice.
that's kind of our thing, is that I'm bringing music into the paranormal field and trying to put some pieces together that way. So we thought Boo Fighters would be a really good fit.
I love everything about that. That
We
is
actually
fascinating.
have a guy that's coming to play the flute at not our next investigation, but our August overnight at Fort Western. He's coming to play the flute, specifically songs from that era and time.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I love the thought process on that. It's very interesting to me. It's something I had kind of recently had thought of something similar because I play music myself. I have like just a ton of instruments, and I was like, I wonder if I were to bring like my banjo to one of these like locations and just start playing it. I wonder if it would like elicit any sort of response. Have you noticed that it does seem to do something?
So the places that not yet. Not yet, to be honest. But there are different things that I want to try. I want to try playing analog music, and I want to try playing digital music, and I want to try to play some stringed instruments, and then maybe like a keyboard to see, because it's all different vibrations.
Yeah.
Everything has a different vibration depending on the housing and the chord structure and all of that. And I want to see if it's the vibrations that you're putting out there that's going to be eliciting activity, or is it going to be like music therapy? Is it going to be the music of that era, or something that's special to somebody that's going to amp up the activity? So I mean, there's a broad spectrum of things that I want to try. Yeah.
Sure. And it's going to be a trial and error process, I'm sure. You're going to narrow
Yeah.
it in and see what works and what doesn't. I like your approach, though. It seems like you're doing this in a fairly scientific and kind of analytical manner, which appeals to me. So that seems to be, you guys have a little more, because I kind of see two schools of logic when it comes to paranormal research. You have people who are more, not necessarily techie, but a little more analytical about things. They can be skeptical even if they're believers, but they kind of use like the scientific process to try and figure out what's going on. Meanwhile, you'll have other ones, oftentimes they'll be, whether they're mediums or whether they're just like people that are true believers and just fully invested in it's already a confirmed thing and they're just trying to back it up. Where do you kind of find yourselves falling? Are you more skeptical or are you true believers?
Oh, 100%. Believe.
We're
Believe?
definitely
100%.
believers, but we're skeptical of evidence.
Sure.
So before we're like, oh, this is absolutely proof of paranormal activity, we will go through a space and try to debunk whatever it is that we can. When we're doing our public events, we always tell people, the first few things like walkie-talkies will set off your EMF. The IR cameras will set off your EMF. Your phone can set off your EMF. All of these things, oh, there's a light switch over here. Be aware. We're trying to debunk these things as we go through so that when we do get a fluctuation or a reading that we can't explain, then we're like, this is what you're looking for. So we definitely approach it from an analytical perspective, but I think we're both definitely believers.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that my goal in this is to not it's to find proof, but I want to find consistent proof, or not proof. I guess proof's the wrong word. I want to find a consistent bridge of communication.
Sure.
Like a for sure way. Like, I want to speak with the spirit and, this is how you do it. But you know what I mean? Like, we'll get there eventually sometime in human history. It'll happen.
Yep.
But, that's where I want to get to.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. I definitely see where you're both coming from there.
But what's going to happen then? But what do you think is going to happen once that are we going to have paranormal shows? Are we going to have clips on YouTube? Like once people are like, oh, okay, I can go buy this, phone off of Amazon and speak to my aunt who's been dead,
right.
Like, what's going to happen then when it's,
I don't know. Knowing how we are, we'll find some way as a species. We'll find some way to monetize it, and then it will go horribly, horribly wrong because that's how it always goes in the movies. Yeah. It'll be Lawnmower Man, or it'll be, I don't know. Did you guys see that one, Talk to Me? That movie last year, A24. Oh, that one. I was like, oh, that's a terrible idea. Don't do that, kids. And then they spent the whole movie doing exactly the wrong thing. And I'm like, oh, fantastic. And that's probably what would end up happening, really, in my opinion. But it's good to see that you've definitely got like a level-headed approach to it, in my opinion, because it sounds like you kind of have a similar thought process to me. You're not just looking for confirmation. You're looking for understanding. And I think that that's like a big part of a lot of paranormal research nowadays. You have the ones that are just content creators, the ones that are just like, they're looking to just make clicks on YouTube or like TikTok or whatever it is. But then you see the ones that like really have a passion for it and are really invested and believe in it. And they have an entirely different approach and methodology to everything. And it definitely is like, you can tell, there's such a big difference in just the way people approach things and the way they carry themselves in that regard. So that's, it's cool that you definitely have like an open mind to how you do it, but you're also doing some interesting and innovative things. That's always neat. I love that. The people in the paranormal field, and I recently was writing a paper about this, are some of the most innovative people I've ever met. Like, I'm sure you've seen, because you probably have talked to Chris, if you've seen any of the gear that he's made, like himself, and like just everybody's so creative, and like you coming up with an idea to use instruments to try and like evoke a response or to try and figure out a new way of like communicating. That's such a cool thing to me. I love seeing that stuff, and you don't see it all the time. So it's awesome when it's like, oh yeah, that I've never heard somebody doing that before.
Yeah.
I've never heard somebody just taking a guitar with them to a haunted location just to see what would happen. It's so cool. I love that.
I found these little amps. You've probably seen them, the little ones that you clip on your belt.
Yeah.
You know, I want to get one, and I want to, you know, I'm going to take my guitar with me, just walk around and play and see what happens, you know?
Yeah, give it a shot. Let me know how that goes. I would love to hear somebody like getting some really good response, because I mean,
that would be awesome to go to Fort Knox to do that, just because of how the halls are.
Yeah.
And the acoustic to that building. Oh man.
You'd hear it everywhere.
Yeah.
It would go through that whole place.
Yeah.
That's a really fun location. If you ever get a chance to go on one of the ghost tours, or even just to go there yourselves and investigate it, you can go and just walk around during the day. It's only a few bucks for Maine residents. It's not bad. But definitely go to one of the ghost tours if you ever want to come up mid-coast area and check some weird stuff out, because that's a cool location. And we have a few forts in Maine that are all haunted, and that's one of my favorite ones that I've been to. There's another one in southern Maine too that I was just recently reading about. Gorges Island, I think. Yeah, that one, I saw that the other day and I was like, oh, that's on my list now. I'm like, that's a bucket list one.
There is another one. It's not a fort, but it's a battery. Oh, and it's battery steel. It's on Peaks Island. We lived on Peaks Island for a little while.
Yeah.
And I would be going over there, and it's the tunnels are underground, and they still have the rotaries up on top where they would put the batteries, the big cannons up there. Mm-hmm. And it's such a cool place. And I want to go at night and investigate, because they never used it for anything other than they built it but no war obviously ever came to Maine. But you know, it'd be really cool to go and turn some equipment on.
Oh, like I said before, it's like some of these places in Fort Knox, and that one sounds like a good example. Sometimes it doesn't even have to be that like a death is associated with a place.
Right.
Experience anyways. Like I've seen places that are haunted, that are just active as you could imagine, and you can't trace any real death or tragedy to the place. I mean, of course, that's always what we look for, you know. But I've seen plenty of them that it's just energies, just people existing in that place, having strong emotions is all it takes.
Yeah, connections.
Yeah, that's it. Connections, exactly. And whether it be the people that built a place, or whether it be people that lived there for 5-10 years of their lives and experienced all this stuff while they were there, it seems to be a thing that kind of is residual and stays with some of these locations, whether it be the stone, whether it be just the environment that they're in. I don't know what it is. Unfortunately, we have so little understanding. Like, I believe so much in the paranormal, but it's a shot in the dark, right? We don't know anything about any of this because there's no rule book.
There's not, all we know is that, our body is made of energy, electricity, and we give off, I think, normally, on like a resting basis, we give off about 80 watts, about as much as a light bulb, and that has to go somewhere when we die.
Mm-hmm.
There was a study of, they weighed a person when they were passing. Did you hear about that?
Yes, I have heard that.
And they, when they passed, there was, I don't know, they lost like so many amount of like milliounces or something like that.
It was like point something, a small increment.
Yeah, very small, but like they lost something.
Yeah,
and
untraceable. No idea what it could have been, but something
But
wasn't there anymore.
Something wasn't there anymore. But where did it go? If it's energy, it's still there somewhere. And it's in. I don't know. Nobody knows, like you said, but it's so interesting to think about and to know for sure that one day that we're going to know. I might not be on this earth at that point, but we're going to know. And I would like to be a part of that ladder to finding out.
The process of discovery and then finally understanding what it is that waits on the other side of the veil, or whatever it is on the other side of anything, because we don't know. Yeah, that's, I think, the ultimate goal for most paranormal people, right? Is to find out, whether you're a researcher, whether you're just interested as a hobby, is to have that understanding. Um, so while you guys have been out and investigating the southern Maine, you've had, I'm sure you've had your own experiences and stuff like that. What are some of the most memorable moments you've had, whether it be like before you came to Maine or even since you were in Maine?
Mm. I still think about the light anomaly that we caught at the Gardiner Library. I know we keep coming back to the Gardiner Library, but we've caught so many good things there.
Yeah.
We had a light anomaly at one point during, I want to say it was our second investigation there. We were all on the second floor in the children's room. And this was during one of our events. We had, I don't know, 10, 15 people in the room with us. And he's recording on his phone, I think.
Maybe.
Because we had the static cam set up also. And you were recording because we were doing a spirit box session. But we kept seeing, so there was a girl and her, I guess her boyfriend up on the couch on the stage, which is difficult to describe if you've never been there. But they have like an old children's playhouse with an original hand painted curtain that falls over this beautiful, beautiful stage that they have in their children's room. So there's a couch up there during like normal operating hours. And this couple was sitting up there. Their EMF detector is going crazy for no reason that we can find.
Huh.
And there's this weird light that we can't see with our eyes, but we're watching it through his phone.
Mm.
And it's kind of dancing around up near where this EMF detector is going crazy. And then this went on for probably 2 or 3 minutes. And it's just dancing around, dancing around, dancing around. And then it slowly makes its way down these stairs, just kind of zigzags down these stairs, and then whoop, disappears, gone. And we have no idea. We couldn't replicate it. We couldn't debunk. We couldn't figure it out at all. And that still is something that I think about.
Wow.
That's probably my favorite experience.
It's cool to have the confirmation of the EMF detector and then have like a manifestation associated with it. It's always cool when you kind of have two different activities that happen in the same area. Because even if one of them, you could be like, okay, it might have just been something we weren't accounting for. The other thing happening at the same time, kind of correlation means a little more,
Yep. What's yours?
Mine, I think, so we were just at the Vassalboro Mill, I think this past week with some friends investigating there, and we were so it started down in the basement. They had some proximity sensors. This was like proximity music box that was set up and in the doorway, and we were in the room quite a ways, and we were doing some the Estes method and doing some EVP burst sessions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we kept hearing this proximity sensor going off in the doorway behind us, and and we would ask questions like, are you there? Are you watching us? Are you hiding from us or whatever? And then we made our way upstairs to the second floor, and the room G is what it's called. And the way that we had it set up, we were all inside the room, and we had a what do we have on the chair there? It was a REM pod. We had a REM pod on the chair.
2 EMF detectors on
either arm, and a REM pod in the seat of the chair. And then right outside the door to the left a little ways, we had another REM pod. And then out the door to the right, we had the music box, the proximity sensor.
And we had another REM pod in the corner.
And another REM pod was sitting next to me.
And several more EMFs. We kind of had equipment spread out all over the room and in the hallway. So
we started asking questions, and one at a time, not just all at once, but one at a time, each one of those items all started going off.
Oh, wow.
Every one of them, and they stayed on for
a while.
a few minutes, and then they started going off, like they're going off one at a time. They just went, and it went backwards. But that whole time, you could see the EMF detectors pinging red, and we
Yeah.
had several of them. Wasn't just one. We had two sitting on the chair. We had one that was at the table, and she was holding it, and it was several different pieces of equipment with different sensors. They were all, and there were six, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There were six pieces of equipment that all started going off.
All just going haywire.
Every one of them.
Yeah.
And we were all like, what's going on? What's happening? And we were looking out the door, and then we started to hear footsteps coming up the stairs to the second floor, and then we were like, oh shit, like somebody's coming up here. And we went out and looked, and nobody's there, and that was a wild experience.
And that was at the Vassalboro Mill. I've heard so much about that place. I want to check it out someday, because I've heard they used to have years ago. They used to have Travis Hartford and Jeff used to put on the Paracon there.
Yeah.
Years ago, they used to do stuff there, and I never got to go to it back when they were running it. But now that people are starting to do investigations, public investigations there again, that's really cool. And I'm very glad that you guys had some cool experiences there. I've heard so many good things, and that's one of the best known haunted locations, I think, in Maine, honestly, is that mill, which it's odd because, like, you know, it used to be, I think, years and years back, like most people when they came to Maine, they never really they always thought of like Stephen King and stuff like that. But then you come up here and you hear, you talk to locals, you go to the towns and you like actually talk to people that live here. Every town's got a place like the mill.
Yeah.
Every town. And it's just, what one is it? I love, that's one of my favorite parts of just driving through Maine, is just going through random towns and just being like, oh, hey, guess which of these buildings is haunted? And then pointing it out to the family. They love it too. It's fun for everybody. So that was your most recent investigation at the mill, the one you did. I think you had one in April or something like that, and then you did one in May. Was it April or May? I've only been following you guys on Facebook for a month, I think, maybe.
I think it was May.
Yeah,
it was May.
So
we didn't do anything in April.
That's right. We had our anniversary in April.
Oh, well, happy belated anniversary. So yeah, that's awesome. You guys have been covering a lot of ground there and getting to experience a lot of the paranormal activity up here in Maine. Two questions I got for any paranormal investigator. I always love to ask them this question before we get too long into this. One thing, what's your one piece of equipment you always have to have?
Oh my gosh.
Do you need a minute to think? Because I know mine.
You go right ahead.
I love my spirit box. I love it. It's my favorite.
Yeah. I don't know. I think once I get it honed in, I think it's probably going to be an instrument. Whichever one is going to work the best for me, it's probably going to be one of those. But as far as the stuff right now that I have, I mean, it's going to be in between either a REM pod or a camera. So, I mean, nobody ever really says camera. Everybody goes to like the other equipments that light up, but I really enjoy the camera because you get two things out of it. You get audio and you get video. It's not just one thing or it lights up.
Yep.
You get two things out of it, and then you can go back and actually see the results of what you've done, and go through it a second time, and hopefully correlate with any experiences that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that makes perfect sense to me. Yeah, I'm a big fan of my camera as well. I've been acquiring more and more of them, and like at this point, I've got 3 different cameras. I'm just acquiring. My whole back of my brand new Subaru is just full of like paranormal equipment right now. It's like I've only had it a month. I don't even think that long, and it's already just boxes and like different cases for various items. But yeah, camera's pretty high on the list for me as well. But the spirit box, I don't use those enough. That's one that I like. I have one. I just haven't really gotten used to it yet. What is it about it that you really like?
I I think because I've gotten such good results from it. Like, again, back to the library. When we were down in the basement at the library, I was doing an Estes session and they were all asking questions and I kept saying Bucksport, Bucksport, Bucksport. And I'm not from Maine. We've lived in Maine less than 3 years total, right? No, we're going on 4. I don't know. We haven't lived in Maine that long. I didn't know Bucksport was a place in Maine. And I kept saying it, and it turned out that it was relevant to whatever you guys were asking.
Yeah,
right?
we had somebody was asking about the tower or the bridge out there or something, and it kept talking about Bucksport.
Yeah. Wow.
And and she was like, "What is that?" I was like, "Oh, it's a place." And it turns out, I mean, that's where Fort Knox is, and there's some other stuff.
Yeah, there's all kinds of historical connections too that I don't recall off the top of my head. You'd have to ask Jess, but
Bucksport is one of those towns. It seems like there's a lot of threads that connect through Bucksport. I don't know why. It's weird, but I've noticed that a lot of stories I've tracked down, I'll be going through and I'll be like looking at like where did something come from or where did this person live? Bucksport. It's a weird place for that. I don't know why, but it's right at the mouth of the, Penobscot River. It's a very important central point for trade. So I know older locations has probably had a lot of significance for them historically.
Yeah.
But it is odd that you'd be like coming across that when you're out of the library, as your Maine. Like,
it was very weird, very random.
Yeah, it's not even the same river. I mean, this is the Kennebec right here.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. I mean, it probably had something to do with trade, but yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and just I don't know. It's like when you're listening to the spirit box, and something comes through that's relative. It's like you ever watch that Family Guy episode? It was like, ooh, a piece of candy. Ooh, a piece of candy.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. It's just this little nuggets of awesomeness, when things are matching up. And
yeah, it's addictive almost when you start to see that and you get that little rush of adrenaline almost.
Yeah.
It's so fun. Like
it is.
It's one of my favorite parts of it is honestly like just going and then like, having that thing happen that is like either somebody else had reported this thing happening, you saw it too, or whether it be, a connection to something that you wouldn't have known otherwise. So it doesn't make sense to you until then. You're like, oh, Eureka. The light goes on and you're like, oh, Bucksport, that's in Maine. Cool.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. I love that stuff.
Maybe it was telling us to go on one of Chris's investigations.
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, hey, it's a fun time. I highly recommend it. And I mean, I went with them last summer and I want to go more this year now that I have more time to do it. But I went with them last year and it was a wicked fun experience. That fort is just so cool to just explore and stuff. And they've done a lot in the recent years. They've got even a kids tour. So if you have like younger kids that are at all interested in it, they even have done a session that's just for them. They got a medium now there that's been, he's been in their group for a while, but he was there the last time that they did it. He did a medium session and everything too. So it's expanding more and more every year and growing. And they have a little paranormal convention they usually do later in the summer around like August, I think. That's always a fun time. So yeah, if you guys are ever in that, looking for just a getaway over a weekend or something, come up in October, go to Ghostport in October. The whole town is like Halloween town for like a week, and it's awesome. It's so fun. Bucksport.
Really?
Every October they do they have coffin races down Main Street. They have like a whole parade that they do where all the kids come out in their costumes and everything. It's awesome. So the whole town shows up. The surrounding communities all contribute. They'll have like last year they used to do Fright at the Fort, which was like a haunted house at Fort Knox. They haven't been able to do it the last couple of years because they didn't have the volunteers and the funding figured out. I hope they get to bring that back because that was a blast back in the day to go to it. And I know that like it's hard to organize shit like that. And I understand people are probably like, you need 150 people to be able to man the thing for a week, you know, to do that around Halloween. Who's got the time and the assets to really do that nowadays?
Right.
But it's still a fun thing. Communities enjoy crap like that. Maine gets into stuff like that. Like we have so much stuff that's like, whether it be paranormal or horror related, that like the whole community gets invested in it. And it's cool to see when paranormal people are able to get out into the communities and do that too. Nice. It's heartwarming. You know?
Right. Yeah. We're working on it. We're actually doing a booth at the Gardiner waterfront. Johnson Hall puts on like a concert series every summer.
Cool.
Starting June 26th. But we'll be there for July 10th. We're doing a little booth. We're gonna have some of the equipment out and let kids come up and say, "Oh, what is this?" And explain, you know, we're gonna try to do that and see how well that's received in this area as far as like family friendly stuff.
That'd be fun. I mean,
yeah.
If nothing else, you get your name out there, and who knows, maybe somebody will tell you a new location you never heard of or something like that.
You know, or like, hey, something's going on at my house. Can you come over? Yes.
That's always awesome. Love that stuff. When people are like, hey, I had something. It's like, yeah, hey, tell me more. I'd love to know. That's one of my favorite parts of this job. So before we go, one more question I love to give to the paranormal researchers. What would be your dream location to investigate?
Are you having to think? Because I don't have to think about mine either. Again.
Go ahead. I'm trying to think of the name of this place. Yeah.
Ekaterinburg, Russia, Siberia.
Wow.
Yeah. I have one of my special interests growing up was the Russian Revolution, and that's where the Romanov family was assassinated and killed. And there's a whole, I don't know if you're familiar with that whole mystery lore behind the Romanov family, but there were a couple of bodies missing from their mass family grave, and it is speculated and or alleged that some of either the brother Alexei or one of the sisters made it out alive by sewing their literal family jewels into their clothing, so that when they were shot by the firing squad, the bullets ricocheted, and then they were buried and escaped from the mass grave before they were actually deceased.
Wow.
And that's where the story of like Anastasia comes from, and the Anna Anderson woman that was really famous in the early 1900s.
Okay.
That's where all of that comes from, is because there were bodies missing from their mass family grave. So that would be my choice, because I'm nerdy and nosy like that.
No, that's a cool answer. I've heard this question a lot. I've never heard that answer. That was awesome. That's cool.
Well, you probably never heard this one either. I think I would go down to Nassau. I would go to Nassau in the Caribbean. It was pirate paradise. There were thousands, I mean, so many people and pirates and crazy just fights and battles, and just it's insane, you know, shipwrecks, and it's nuts. And I think that I would go down there and set up. She's looking at me. It's like, it's not that expensive to go.
Well,
you can go on a trip.
Yeah, pirates are your thing. But I mean, you think about all the battles and all the people that has, you know.
That's actually a really good, I've never thought about that in that context.
Yeah, ghosts don't have to be in Victorian clothing. They can.
No, but there's a cool theory about why they are. Have you heard the theory about why they are? About why you always see like the same, like,
I have a particular theory on it. What's your theory?
Well, it's not my theory. It's a theory that I heard off the internet, but I thought it was cool. And how scientific or relevant it is, I don't know, because I haven't done enough research. But I thought it was cool, and we'll be doing said research. So the lead paint. Paint.
Explain this.
So you know how when you go to get an X-ray, they give you the lead vest to keep those rays from hurting your organs. The theory is that the lead is keeping the energy trapped in whatever location, and so the lead paint was big during that specific
That
era.
specific time they painted all the
Oh.
homes.
And so that's the theory that I
Oh,
recently
wow.
heard on.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense in a way you wouldn't normally think of.
Right?
Like,
It kind of makes you go,
huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that is interesting. I
Yeah.
like that theory. I mean, I always thought it was more just like our perception of things. Like, I always thought that, like, we see a spirit kind of in the way we envision a spirit. Like, that's the way our mind makes sense of like a bunch of data or energy we don't know what to do with, right? So a lot of us, we see something that we would describe as a spirit. I mean, I'm not saying everybody, especially probably not like paranormal researchers or people that like really are interested in the stuff, but your average Joe thinks of a ghost. What do they usually think of? It's usually like some colonial era soldier or
Yeah.
some Victorian dress, woman walking on a,
Mhm.
widow's walk or something. It always kind of evokes that same imagery. That's the thought I've always had, but I kind of like yours more because it has a little more meat on its bones than just, well, that's the way it is. Like,
Yeah.
I'll be honest though, I like your idea also because I'm big on
Collective.
manifestation and collective consciousness.
Yeah.
So I think that's absolutely, I think egregores play a huge role in the paranormal and everything that we experience on this side of the research. I think that has a lot to do with so much of everything that we experience and all of the tangible evidence that we observe. So
Yeah.
I think that your theory is great also. And that, again, not my theory, it's just something I
Yeah.
heard.
It's an interesting theory though. I definitely like that.
But
Yeah.
also when we die, we don't take our clothes with us. So I mean, they're probably 100 years behind us now. They don't have the new hip stuff yet.
True.
So,
it's true. Could you imagine the day that we got a ghost
Weird.
reporting and they're like, he was wearing Jinkos. He had a Walkman on him. Like, I can't wait for that day.
Yeah.
He had a YOLO graphic shirt that he got at Walmart. It was like,
Oh man, the famous bro t-shirt,
Yes.
God.
That or a no fear jersey. You
Oh,
remember
God,
that
yeah.
back in the 90s?
Yeah.
That's the ghost I want to meet someday and see how that goes.
Someday.
Hey.
Yeah, bro, rad. Like,
Yeah. Boo, man.
Yeah.
Boo.
You guys are wicked fun. I've had a blast talking to you this evening. I enjoy what you're doing. I am a big fan of anybody that's doing paranormal research up in Maine. It's a great place to live. It's a great place to explore. I'm glad that you're enjoying it and having a time of it and introducing more people and educating them on it as well. That's awesome. You're going to spawn a whole new generation of people who will be interested in it the next time around. Who knows? Could be because they see you at one of the conferences in a year or two, and then they'll be like, hey, I remember when. That'd be awesome. And I think you guys are on your way to that for sure. Before we get ready to wrap it up, is there anything you guys would like to plug? Anything you want to share with the audience before we go?
So I got something that I can talk about, but there's other things that I can't talk about yet.
Okay.
So in September, we will be at the Paranormal Horror Con in Augusta.
Before that, though, we'll be in Fort Western.
Oh, yeah. August in Augusta, Maine.
Right.
The old Fort Western historic monument. It's right in the middle of town. It's the oldest wooden fort in America. We're going to be doing an overnight camp and investigation there.
August 8th.
August 8th. So you sign up, you're going to bring your tent out. I'm going to be cooking dinner. We'll be going in and doing, group investigations in there all night long.
We provide all the equipment.
Yeah, provide all the
limited
equipment.
availability, or is
it's limited availability. I think that we can have 25 people, including the team, but yeah.
Yeah, that's a good group.
Yeah, but that's usually what our groups are, 25 people.
A lot of people to keep track of in the dark.
There is, but we have a great a great team, man.
Yeah.
And we
Awesome.
always split up, and we got team leaders. They'll take care of. It's been great, and it's been a wonderful process.
Yeah.
But
We've got some really great.
yeah. August 8th will be at Fort Western. September will be at the Paranormal Horror Con. Make sure that if you go, you come see our booth.
Nice.
Because we are going to be doing something at this con that no other paranormal investigation team has ever done.
That we know of.
They have not.
Ooh.
I've looked it up.
All
They
right.
have. Nobody has ever done it. It's going to be sort of an attraction type of thing.
Nice.
Man, it's going to. I can't. But I want to tell people so bad, and I want to hype it up. But if I do this, as soon as people see this, everybody's gonna copy it. It's gonna
Keep
be
it right in
everywhere.
your pocket until you're ready. That's the best you can do. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
It's gonna
that's
be
awesome.
nuts.
But wow, I want to talk about baiting the hook and getting me if I wasn't already excited for it, planning on going. There would be another convincing factor. So any people that weren't already planning on buying tickets, if you're at all into paranormal research, definitely be there so you can check out what Boo Fighters Paranormal is going to be doing, because who knows, they could manifest a spirit right there. It'd be the first time we ever saw it at a convention. Wouldn't that be something? That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
That would be something.
Just pull it right out of a bottle. But yeah, no, I very much look forward. I'm going to be there myself. I don't have a booth. I'm just going to be there wandering around and talking to people, because that's what I do. I yap at people for hours on end. And hey, sometimes it gets me to learn some new stories and to meet some new people and learn more stories from them too. So it's a fun time. I make a habit of it. And so I will be there. I look forward to seeing both of you. It was great to get to meet you this evening. I had a blast talking to you both. You're definitely, I can't wait to see more of what you do. I hope to get to have you to come back on the show eventually sometime. Maybe, who knows, a year from now, we can talk again, see what other adventures you've had. And a blast. Thank you both
we'll have to get together in between, now and then. You being a fellow musician, you got to come out. We got to try this thing, man. We got to try figure it out.
I'd be all over that, man. I got so many random instruments. Here's one I want to try. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, got a
death whistle?
Yeah. This is one I got. I'm excited to try.
Yes.
See, most of my investigating a little different from what y'all do. Mine's out in the woods.
There you go.
I love it.
This whole island, this whole park, like, the buildings here are haunted. There's plenty of them. We got all these old Gilded Age mansions and libraries and stuff that are all haunted as hell. But my favorite ones are random haunted trails, mountains where weird stuff was seen, cove where some lady is supposedly shows up in the fog, stuff like that. I love those stories, and those are the ones I have the most fun investigating. So that's why I spend most of my time researching.
There you go. Well, might have to come up there and you could take us out and check some
I'll take you on a trail, and I'll come down and I'll go to one of your if we could go to the library, that'd be fantastic. Or even go to the mill sometime if you ever end up doing that again. Yeah. That's one I've wanted to check out. I've heard so much good things about it. So that's on my list. But no, we definitely should. We will definitely keep in touch. I thank you both for coming on. I thank you for sharing your stories with me, the audience. Everybody, if you haven't already, I'm going to put the link in the description so everybody can check it out. Boo Fighters Paranormal. Make sure you go and give them some love on social media. Thank you guys so much for coming on. I appreciate you talking to me.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having us.
That was Boo Fighters Paranormal. Historians, investigators, and frankly, some of the most grounded true believers I've ever talked to. Whether it's a library full of zigzagging light anomalies, or a mill where the equipment wakes up one device at a time, their stories remind us that the world is stranger, eerier, and more haunted than we might like to admit. If you want to catch them in the wild, they'll be at the Gardiner waterfront on July 10th for the Johnson Hall Summer Concert Series, showing off their gear and talking with anyone brave enough to ask questions. And if you're feeling bold, they're hosting an overnight investigation at Fort Western on August 8th. 20-odd spots, dinner included. Ghosts not guaranteed, but strongly implied. They'll also be at the Paranormal Horror Con in Augusta this September with an attraction they are keeping under wraps. I've heard just enough to know it's something no other team has tried before. That alone should make you curious. If tonight's episode stirred something in you, an old memory, a strange moment you never quite explained, send it in. I'd love to hear from you. Maine is full of stories, and the Fogcast is always listening. The Fogcast is an Acadia After Dark production. Background music and sound effects are from Epidemic Sound, and our title song is courtesy of local legends Pine Tree Riot. If you want to help the show, then consider joining us on Patreon and become a lantern holder tonight, where for less than the price of a cup of coffee, you can get early access to ad-free episodes, haunting digital content, and exclusive extras. Finally, if you want more of the show, then head on over to acadiaafterdark.com, where you can find news, articles related to the show, merchandise, and more horror from the dark places between the pines. As always, keep those lanterns lit, and stay safe out there, hikers.